Welcome to Books and Boulders, the podcast where we take a break from climbing, sit back, and dive into the world of adventure books.
Hi, everybody. My name is Melanie.
And I'm Tiffany.
And thank you for joining us again for another episode of Books and Boulders, your outdoor adventure podcast, where we talk about all things climbing and books. This week we are finishing up Written in the Waters. We've been reading at that for the past few episodes. This week, we're just kind of recapping chapter 13 and the epilogue and maybe just some final thoughts on the book. But I guess before we get into that, just do a little quick check-in. Tiff, how are you?
I'm hot. I'm tired. But I finally made it to France. I made it to the motherland, my motherland of bouldering. I
Nice.
am in Fontainebleau, or
Nice.
Font as some people call it. And I'm just ready to get climbing. And yeah, I don't
Yes.
know. I think I've fixed the jet. It took me like 3 days. For some reason, jet lag was awful. I,
Mm.
I, but I'm good with the jet lag. We just had a 4 day heat wave. The same heat wave I think that is happening in the States hit Europe pretty hard, like 100-degree temperatures. So not really climbable weather.
Yeah.
But it's been a struggle. So now it's going to go down. But I'm really excited. I'm mostly excited because the sun sets at like 10 p.m. here.
What? What
Not
time does it
actually, it's
rise?
5, which is why I cannot get. I'm so sleep deprived because I wake up with the sun, but I can't go to sleep till the sun sets, and it's actually after
Oh,
10. I don't know. It's still light out at 10. I
wow.
just know between 10 and 10:30 is when the sun starts to really go down, which is
Whoa.
yeah. So and someone was like, "Oh yeah, it's further north, so the summers are longer
Mm.
than, in the States." But
Hmm.
it's a good and a bad thing because I'm an early sleep. Like I normally am in bed at 8:30, sleep
Right.
by 9. I can't go to sleep. If it's bright, just regular random ass day, I'm not sleeping.
Yeah.
So until the sun goes down. Then by the
Wow.
time it goes down, I can't sleep because it's past my normal threshold. So
Wow.
it's a little bit of a mess. But the pros in that is I keep calling it night climbing, but
Hmm.
you have the ability to like climb in the morning, have that siesta, let the heat do its thing midday, then go back out at like 6 o'clock and climb again at night. So
Cool.
I think tomorrow will be the first day of climbing, and I will go out probably in the evening. So we'll see. But that's how I'm
Exciting.
doing. So I'm good. It's been like just a lot of reading, a lot of
Nice.
yoga.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, not a lot of disconnecting like I wanted. I've been on my phone way too much, which
Mm.
sucks.
Mm.
But it's just too much going on in the US for me to not be on my phone and seeing what's going on. So,
Yeah.
so
Cool.
anyways, how are
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm glad you made it to France and hopefully you do find that time to disconnect. But it sounds like you're very much in your happy place. Please eat all the croissants and pastries and wine, everything. But yeah, I'm doing good. Coming back from Los Angeles for my brother's wedding. That was fun. It was really great being around family. I have a lot of family on my dad's side from like Houston that I used to see all the time, like as a kid, because I spent summers in Houston. But now I never see them, so it was really nice getting to like reconnect with them. And I feel like I've maybe mentioned before, but I'm like a huge plant nerd, a little plant hoarder, if you will. LA feels like the mecca for like cacti and succulents in the United States. I saw so many like rare plants, and I like kind of have like a little haul. I like went a little
Oh
crazy.
my goodness.
But
You got to
yeah,
send me some photos or videos or clips so I can post it on social.
I will
share with
definitely do
people.
that. I love talking about my plants and share my plants. So yeah, I'm so happy. I had a great time doing that. They have so many just plant societies, plant shows. I went to like a plant show at the Huntington Library and it was really good. The Huntington is also a really cool botanical garden. So yeah, I'm feeling like, an annual trip might be in order just to like check out the plant scene there. But it was great. But yeah, that's me.
Well, you let me know when the next one is.
Ooh,
I can only get like super independent houseplants. Like I
okay.
can't do needy houseplants. I travel way too much.
Yeah.
And if you saw the instructions I left for these 3 weeks that I'm in Europe, like day by day house sitting, plant sitting instructions that I've had to leave of
Yeah.
like, do this. And then because I have I have vegetable garden, but then I also
Mhm.
have my house plants that need a little
Mhm.
bit of care. They need more care in the summer than they do in the winter because all my plants are succulents. They're all like
Mm.
ZZ plants and snake plants, plants that I
Mhm.
can forget to like water for a month and be like, oh, I should probably water you, and they don't
Yeah.
really care.
Mhm. Yeah, that's the way to go. If you're a traveler, I feel like succulents are definitely the way to go. But yes, I will definitely let you know. It'd be so fun to meet up for a little plant getaway. But yeah,
All
cool.
right.
Shall we dive in?
Yeah, let's jump on in. The last episode was very long. This
Yeah.
episode will not be quite that long.
Yeah.
Or not the last, well, maybe the second to last was like 2 hours long. I don't know,
Mm.
but we're gonna keep this nice and tight because
Mhm.
there aren't that many chapters, and this is the wrap up. And man, this book was heavy. This book
Yeah.
was so heavy. Oh, and also just so you know, I'm reading this
Did you
right
get
now.
it? Oh
While
my
I
God.
did. Yeah,
Wow.
shout out to the library, New Jersey
Yes.
Public Libraries coming
Wow.
through. So
Nice.
I am I'm reading that, but I'm like, should I be reading that right after reading Written in the Waters? It's a lot of
Okay.
slave immersion that I'm just
Yeah.
like, I don't know, it's a lot, but
Yeah.
I'll digress.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. You try to mix up another like, fantasy or something. I don't know what other genres you're into, but yeah. I know you're a fast reader, so if you can mix it up, that might help. But
I wish I didn't bring a ton of books. All my
yeah.
books were like climbing guidebooks and uh, learning how to speak French books.
Mm.
I didn't have a lot of room, so whatever. But I definitely am in need of a romance novel right now.
Yeah. Kindle
I need
Unlimited,
some love.
man. I don't know. I love Kindle Unlimited, so I don't know if
I know.
there's
I just
anything.
never got into reading books on a
Oh,
device
fair.
because it was always hard to. Well, the funny thing is, when I was riding the subway regularly, I kind of wished I did because trying to pull a book out on the subway was not super conducive. So I was
Yeah.
like, man, I really need to get into like having books on my phone so that
Mm.
when I'm on the train, I can just, but
Yeah.
never got to that point. So,
I hear that. Well, hopefully, just being outside and climbing will be enough of a reprieve, and just being in a different country, enjoy yourself, eat all the food. Yeah, but how about we just get into it? Chapter 13. I'll do like a quick little recap, and I'm curious to know like what some of the highlights and standouts were for you. But in this chapter, she kind of just talks a lot about, just traveling to. She's on her way to Edenton, North Carolina, where she's visiting kind of like the ancestral homeland of her family within the United States, and where generations of her family, I think she said 200 years of family members grew up there, raised children there, had homes there, all of that. And so they were a really integral part of this community. And so that's a big part of this experience is just like, I think kind of after it's kind of like a summation of the experiences that she had throughout the book, and she decides that it's finally time to sort of trace her roots back to her homeland and really learn about her history there. She hires a genealogist to kind of help her track down her family's history and kind of really just put the pieces together of all of that. And then the other part of it is that she previous, like prior to going to Edenton, she spends time in Mobile, Alabama, and that's where she learns about a slave ship that. But did it burn? Did it get set on fire?
No, so they basically sunk it, and
Right.
that's how
Okay.
it got preserved because I guess the water in Alabama was made of like sand and mud and stuff that
Yeah.
protected it. So most slave ships start to deteriorate.
Right.
But this one was like perfectly intact, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So it sounded like, just basically, I guess, to try to recap that, eh, goodness, the people within the states found out that King Glele in the Dahomey Kingdom in Benin now, what is Benin now, had a bunch of slaves that he was planning to sell, and I believe that, like, feel like I'm not wording it quite correctly, but like the transatlantic slave trade. I don't know, like basically the transport of humans internationally, like slaves internationally across international waters, was illegal. And so these people kind of tried to put together this clandestine mission to like head back to Benin and like capture these slaves, and they ended up bringing them back to the United States successfully. But I think they had to like take a river route instead of the ocean, I guess, to kind of like shield or hide what they were doing. And so, yeah, that's how the
and
boat ended.
it was pseudo successful too because I think
Yeah.
they were supposed to get like 300 or something, and only like 116 made it on board before some stuff popped off, and they were like,
Yeah.
"We gotta bounce. We got what we got.
Right.
They playing us, so let's go."
Yeah.
So
That sounded
it
crazy.
was successful-ish, I would say.
They were trying to kind of avoid capture. And so I think they took this kind of like back route through the rivers in order to avoid capture. They had to like put down their flags and like make some modifications to their trip so that they didn't get detected. They did end up getting like found out, it sounded like, by
Hmm.
I don't know, just after they had all already like taken people off the ship and all of that, they did end up kind of getting found out. But because the authorities couldn't find any evidence, they dropped it and had to dismiss the case. So they ended up being successful, but it sounded like a really crazy. Like the whole thing sounded really crazy. Like they promised the crew like double the wages because it was but because what they were doing was illegal technically, and they didn't end up fulfilling that promise. So just all around bad people and bad business. But yeah, so that's kind of like the summary of that chapter. And I guess I'm just wondering, did anything really stand out to you, or yeah, what were your kind of takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, I think first I thought it was kind of nice of how she sort of starts to wrap up the story. The whole arc of this book has been her looking for home and going to these different parts because a lot of us think Africa is home. That's where we feel the most connected. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was kind of cool to see her go back to where her actual ancestors really came on over on the
Mm-hmm.
ship. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of us can honestly probably trace that to some degree. Like, I think my family is probably from Mississippi,
Mm-hmm.
and then migrated north, like a lot of people did, to the
Mm-hmm.
Midwest. But I think the thing that always fascinates me when I hear about these stories in the 1800s, um, is how these folks get so much land. Like
Yeah.
they able to like we can barely buy a house, let
I
alone
know.
property with like acres and acres and acres. And for her great whoever grandpa, like
Like
he had I
174
wrote
acres.
yeah, yes, I wrote it down. I was like, what?
I
Like,
know.
and even if we talk about the Clotilde and the guy, the surviving slave, the one who that Barracoon book is about, he bought 57 acres and created Africa Town. Like, I guess I'm just so fascinated by how it seemed like things were so, in a weird way, it's like things that are so difficult for us now was easier
Yeah.
But of course, now things, I mean, obviously it's jacked up because they ultimately, feel like they took this land from people, or in situations like her family, you have people who don't want to live in these like small backwoods towns. They don't
Mm-hmm.
maintain the properties. They inherit the properties and then they just sell it off like, oh, I'll just sell parts of it off to people. And it's like we
Mm-hmm.
don't value the importance of land ownership, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is an interesting point. And so 174 acres, it's so crazy. And to be able to accomplish that, like, after having been enslaved within your lifetime, like, and I think she said her grandfather, I don't know. I'm curious about like what the connection was. I don't know if because her grandfather also purchased land, not quite as
Yeah,
many
he bought
acres,
a
but
hundred.
still over 100.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he bought 100 acres in the 1930s during the Great Depression, no less.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm wondering like so she said her I don't know if it was her great great grandfather or her great 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 grandfather, but one of the greats bought 174 acres and then was able to pass some down to his children. But it sounds like her grandfather didn't inherit that land. Like he bought that independently. So it's like, wow, just people in your family making boss moves at a really difficult time. Like it's
right?
wild. Yeah. Yeah. And to think that like, I mean, Africa Town, I think Africa Town was different, but it was like still
That was
like they were like,
57 acres.
okay, that was only 57. Wow.
Yeah,
They
that was
did a lot
57
with that.
acres. It took them 9 years to raise $300 to buy that land.
Wow. I'm curious like what $300 then would be today. Um, but probably
Yeah,
not
I don't know how to do that back.
maybe like 15,000. I have no idea. I'm just kind of guessing, but still less than what it would cost today, like in today's dollars. But that's yeah, I mean, I love that they like really like unified and united and made that happen. And it's so unfortunate. I mean, I feel like every time Black people like manage to kind of like establish themselves or like really build something that's like integral and like actually like helping the community and filling a need in the community, it ends up getting destroyed. So with Africa Town,
Mhm.
like it was a major like it sounds like for what it was a quite successful place. There were like businesses and people had homes and people built homes and some of the homes are still standing. And then
Schools, churches.
yeah, yeah, and then they were like, "Oh, we'll just turn this into a dump site, like an environmental dump site." And it ended up they said at some point in the book that the pollution was so bad that you couldn't see more than 3 feet in front of you, and people ended up dying of cancer and just, the younger generations decided that they wanted, I guess, a better quality of life and kind of like left the town behind. And now Mobile wants to kind of preserve it as this historical site, but it's like, I'm sure that there's still a lot of history there and a lot to like be preserved, but it's just so unfortunate. I mean, I think as similarly of like what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and like, just any place where Black people have really tried to like build something for themselves. But um,
And
yeah,
that's what I don't get. This is what I don't get about these like crazy slave loving racist. Like, you don't want us around you. So we
mm-hmm,
build our thing and mind our own damn business, and then you gotta go like, what you brought us here?
mm-hmm,
We're here.
mm-hmm.
Leave us the f alone. Like, what? Leave us alone. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
it's just so baffling to me.
it
It's like you
is.
gotta have your cake and eat it. Like, you can't just let us thrive on like, either you want us in your ecosystem or you don't,
Right.
because burning down our spaces means now we have to be up in your space. Like, the logic makes no
Right.
sense, but I guess it's no different because now the logic of everything that's happening doesn't make any sense. So I guess it's not supposed to make sense because stupid people don't care about making any sense. I'm just I think that's why this book was so much for me, because it's like with everything in the present, it feels like the past just reincarnating itself. And it
Mm-hmm.
does. I feel like all this stuff just repeats itself over and
Mm-hmm.
over, the same cycle, the same fights. And it's just like, I just want to breathe. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel you. Um, yeah, it doesn't make sense, but it is like a tale as old as time, I feel like. I mean, I think about like appropriation and how it's like you know, like the certain behaviors, certain qualities, certain like styles and trends and whatever, like when black people are the originators of these trends and when black people kind of like, you know, do these things like the slang, all of it, like when we like kind of when we're just being ourselves, it's a problem, but everybody wants to take our style, our aesthetic, our culture, our music, our art, and you know, not credit us. It's just bizarre to me. It's bizarre to like, you know, discredit the originators of this style or kind of like admonish them for the style or whatever, but then try to like appropriate it and steal it and like not give credit to, you know, the people who kind of started it. So it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But it's none of it is like surprising. I think one thing that like really stood out to me also was like she mentioned in I wanted to try to find the quote, but I don't think it really matters, the exact quote. But she basically mentions how there's like all of these contradictions that she kind of experiences when she's there. So she talks about how, you know, she's walking around and like Mobile, Alabama is trying to pay homage to like the kind of like history of African Americans there and the history of the slave trade there and all of that. But at the same time, she sees like monuments erected in the name of like Confederate soldiers and Confederate generals and leaders. And she talks about like that juxtaposition. And I forget who exactly mentioned it, but they said that she recalled a quote that someone said to her that history is supposed to like teach nuance. It's not supposed to necessarily feel like really good or really bad, but it's supposed to, yeah, kind of like teach nuance and let me find it. What it says, what good history does, Lonnie Bunch III, the director of the National Museum of African American History and Culture in DC, he said to her, what good history does is it teaches you nuance, it teaches you subtlety, it teaches you complexity, it teaches you ambiguity. And I felt like that was like a really good summary of the experience that I had reading this book just as a whole. Like I felt like I don't know what I expected exactly going into reading this book, but I definitely, you know, like I think that like as black people, we kind of have a certain vision of like what slavery has been and what the history of like slavery was and how that kind of like got us to where we are as a people today within the context of America and of the world. And I don't know, like it just, how can I say what I'm trying to say? I feel like it wasn't as like clean and like neat as I thought it would be. Like I was like, oh, black people are like complicit in some of like our own oppression, especially during the times of like actual slavery and the slave trade and like, you know, there's so much nuance into like what it means to be black in America versus in parts of Africa versus in the Caribbean. And there's like, I don't know, it just yeah, I feel like that quote really like kind of captured some of the feelings that I had about this book where it brought up some like complex feelings of like sadness, of pride, of like frustration, of disappointment. It yeah, I don't know, but
Yeah, it's the ebb and flow of it all. I also did not know what to expect coming into this book. I just figured it's about scuba diving, and the fact that it delved so much deeper than just scuba diving
mm-hmm.
and stirred up feelings for me that I have had with my own identity and
Hmm.
feelings of place and where I belong. And I mean, I've gone through, it's interesting with the whole like bald head stuff, but like I've gone
Hmm.
through a lot of identity issues as
Hmm.
a child and being in shame.
Hmm.
And so it's like for me, going back to Africa to find the connection and seeing traits that are a bit more accepting, or more common in these places. Like I have family members because my great great grandfather was white, and so I have family members where my dad and his sister, he came out my shade, and his sister came out a much lighter shade, like an Alicia Keys shade. And so all
Mm,
her kids are fair skinned with green eyes, and all his kids are brown skinned with brown eyes. And I always had issues with identity and not and thinking that the drops of whiteness was the perception of beauty.
mm,
Having white um traits or whatever represented that, having issues with my nose or my lips, and
mm.
just all these, and not having the hair texture that they had, and just,
Yeah.
so I think just like reading this book at a time where I kind of had my own identity crisis a few weeks ago, and just said, I don't feel like myself in my own skin. And so for me, this book just kind of like took me to a place of needing to find my own self and who I am and love myself.
Yeah.
And despite not knowing my history, it's like I think you can appreciate yourself more when you know where you came from. And so not knowing, and her realizing that maybe it's not that big of a deal that I don't know who I come from or where I come from or what
Mm,
tribe, but just starting to feel like I'm happy with who I am
hmm.
regardless of the bloodlines.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think there's like some profound like nuggets and moments of reflection, and I think it's nice that she like went back and tried to trace her roots and kind of like find out more about her genealogy. But I think kind of to your point, like it was like this is a nice thing to be able to do and to discover all of this information. But I think that like over the course of the book, like her journey has been one that basically says like I belong and like I am valid, and regardless of what this genealogy brings up, like I don't know. It's just, I think she's tapped into like a deeper, I think just the experience and the journey that she went on kind of like allowed her to tap into a deeper level of like identity and a sense of belonging and a sense of connectedness to like her heritage and to like the diaspora. So, yeah. I also thought that it was interesting because I don't know if it was the last episode or the one before that, but we talked about the book Barracoon. I don't the written by Zora Neale Hurston, and it's just interesting that I had no idea that it would be this
I
way,
know
but it's
you said
interesting.
it, and then in the book. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. She the book Barracoon, I don't remember the full title of it, but I know you have it.
I do. The
Yes.
story, the story of the last black cargo.
Right. Yeah. So that the person who that book is about was actually like on the slave ship, the Clotilde, which was sunken in the Mobile River. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I thought that was an interesting kind of like full circle sort of moment. But yeah, I know you're reading it and getting into it. I'd be super curious to kind of know what your thoughts are once you kind of make it through. But yeah, that was chapter 13. I mean, there was a lot that happened, but I think one thing that she definitely, I guess kind of going back to your other point, like it sounds like she definitely like this journey really changed her. She like checks in with her friend Karima and asks like if she has noticed a change within her, and Karima like totally agrees and is like, yes, I think that this is I can just see like a shift in the amount of peace you have. And I think that that's such a beautiful thing because like you said, I think there can be so much anxiety around like identity as a black person in America, and to like go on a journey that allows you to have peace no matter you know what your ancestry tests might reveal about you, like to just feel like rooted and grounded in who you are. I think that's like something that so many black Americans are probably looking for. And so I don't know, I feel like vicariously I've like absorbed some of that piece, but it's also kind of like motivated me to want to like dig deeper just out of curiosity and wanting to understand what my history is and what my lineage is. But yeah, I don't know. Was there anything else that kind of stood out to you from that one or
I think for me, and this may or may not be in the epilogue, but
mm,
like you said, I think she was looking for place, but she found herself.
yeah.
And it all ended up circling back to Atlanta and her having this place in Atlanta that she wasn't really using.
Yeah.
And so it was to me this full circle moment of her returning home, even though she was looking for home, she already had that home and just realized that it's really about her adventures, telling these stories,
Mm-hmm.
and just this self-fulfillment.
Yeah.
I think when you're telling a story like this and when you're doing research of this nature, it still needs
Mm-hmm.
to be fulfilling. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I love this book. I just have to say that off the
That's
top.
cool. Yeah.
It really, I mean, I learned a lot. I feel like, my God, how did I know this stuff? And I'm really upset that, and I blame myself. Like I could be reading
Mm.
more, and probably why I love this podcast is because it's now not forcing me, but it's reminding me that I love to read.
Yeah.
Don't forget these
Oh,
things that you love to do, and we get so distracted by these craps and everything else that's
just
going
being a
on that
person.
and it's like I think there's value in knowing your history because I think we've gotten complacent in our present. And so
Mm.
I don't know. I mean, I just want to, thank Tara for the work.
Yeah.
And I love this, and I too want to. I'm also interested in knowing a little bit more about my history. I think I can fairly easily trace it back at least three or four generations. So
Nice.
I would love to take a trip down to Mississippi and see where and they actually
Ooh,
still own their my dad's sister still owns the property that my great
nice.
grandmother owns. They don't want to, I think, and so we're planning to go down there for Thanksgiving. So I really want to kind of like talk about that because the problem with people owning this land and these properties in these southern places that they don't want to go or be is that they get dilapidated and they get tired of
Mm.
it because they're just paying property tax. Like people
Mm-hmm.
forget that when you inherit property, you have to
Still
pay
have to
taxes
pay
on that
taxes on it. Yeah.
and you're not making any money from it. That's why people sell it.
Right.
So, it's like, yeah, it's interesting, but I would love to get there before because I think inevitably it will get sold or something will happen like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Wow.
I just gotta say, shout out Tara Roberts. This was a great book, a great
Yeah.
second book for the pod, and
Sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. And I know we're like kind of closing in on time. So I feel like the things you mentioned were like a really good summary of kind of like the epilogue. Like I know she heads back to Benin to kind of like perform a ceremony that will return Cujo, who the book Barracoon is about and who was one of the survivors of this, or I guess he was the only, no, he didn't return home during his lifetime, but he was one of
Yeah,
the
he didn't.
last, yeah, he was one of the last kind of like remaining people alive from this slave ship, the Clotilde, who was actually able to tell his story. And so they perform a ceremony to kind of like bring him back home to his ancestral homeland. Obviously, again, he didn't make it there while he was living, but they tried to kind of like perform a ritual to honor his wishes that he be returned after he was deceased. But
And
yeah,
Cujo was his slave name. His real name was
yes,
Kosula because his slave
Kosula.
master
Okay,
could not pronounce his real name. So
okay,
and again,
Kosula.
it's because I'm reading this book. It's as he
Yeah.
explains that he came up with that name for his slave master to make it easy for him to say
Oh,
his name.
okay. Okay, well, learn me something then. But
But
yeah, and then
rest in peace, Kosula. I'm glad they got to take him
yes.
back home. That was so
And thank you
nice.
for
And
sharing your
it was
story.
nice to see how like emotional his uh descendants were who were able to
Hmm.
participate in that ceremony. And I like how,
Yeah.
they kind of had their own private moment. And I just
And to just, yeah, sorry, go ahead. I'm
it just
sorry.
felt, I don't know, felt it just felt all the feels.
Yeah. Oh, and to just learn the stories of some of them, like, restaurant owners and engineers and people who, have gone on to have careers. And I don't know, it puts it into perspective. Like, we are like the descendants of slaves, and I don't know, it just makes me so, so curious to just know, like, who were you, like not even on
Yeah.
some, like, I want to like trace my roots back to like what country and what tribe I came from and all of that. Like, I am definitely curious to know that, but like, wow, I would love to know the story of like my ancestor who came from Africa, to the United States and like, you know, the first ancestors who experienced freedom in this country and what that journey was like for them and all that it took to like create me and to create my sister and my brother and my nephews and my parents. And so I don't know, it definitely like, I don't know, it's like
It's almost like
exciting feeling.
you want your own little written in the waters book. Like
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I want to write my own story now from this.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was beautiful. This is there's so much more. I don't know. Like, I feel like I'll be processing this for weeks, if not months to come. I feel like I need to journal about this. I feel like I need to read it again. But yeah, it was beautiful. And I really appreciated that, like, I don't know, like it felt like part, personal narrative, but like also part like, actual concrete archival history. And I think that she did a really good job of like bringing those things together. I almost kind of read like a documentary in a way.
Hmm.
But yeah,
I'm
great
actually
book.
surprised there's not a documentary, at least on Veracruz. You would think there would be,
Hmm.
and maybe there is before I say that. So drop it in
But
the
she did
comments if anybody
mention,
know. Yeah,
yeah, oh,
is
sorry,
there?
go ahead.
I know that, and there were like film crews, so I don't know.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
interesting.
what the outcome of that was. But yeah, if you know, drop us a line if you
Yeah,
if you have like more context
holler
on.
at the girls because I don't
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I mean,
It's always sad when the book ends. It's like,
I know. Yeah. But this one was good and it's like it feels like the beginning in a way. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like I definitely feel very inspired and I don't know, as like nuanced as the storytelling was, like it also feels like I do kind of that feeling of like peace. It like resonates. Like I feel that. Like I feel like I
it
don't know
was
how to
infectious.
explain
It
it.
kind of like it was almost like infectious. Like
Yeah.
her piece was your piece. Like you felt that came up off the page and
Yeah.
now lives with you. Like, the end isn't the end. The end is just the beginning. And
Right.
it was that for her. It feels that way for me. Like I feel I'm definitely going through a transformation, like
Oh,
spiritually, physically,
yeah.
mentally, and just, and it just felt like I was walking this path with her. And now I can keep going because I've got this sort of like upliftment.
Yeah, I think she did an excellent job of really bringing us into her emotions and the entire experience with her. So, yes, Miss Roberts. Oh my God. Rain in the waters.
So what's
So
next?
good.
What's next? What book did I have to get from the library this time?
Well, what is next is the story of Cheryl Strayed, hiking the Pacific Crest Trail. It is a book called Wild. Yes, I think I'm gonna probably do the ebook version, so I don't have a physical copy. But yeah,
I
I'm
got
super
you.
stoked to read this one. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I'm stoked to read this. I've read it once before, like some time ago, and I feel like I remember the overall gist of it, but I don't remember like details of it. And I'm super excited to get back into it. And I love this kind of like journey of like women adventure stories that we've
Maybe
been
all the
on.
seasons will be women. Maybe we ain't even talking about the
Yes.
men's. We just gonna stay with the women's. So stick with us. Like, we're gonna read part 1 of this. So if you're reading along with us, if you're following with us, head to your library, head to your ebook app, or head to your Black-owned
Yes.
bookstore, Black or Brown-owned bookstore if you can, and you want to buy a book, because this is where
Mm-hmm.
we're going next. I don't know if I've seen this movie that is apparently made. I
Oh,
hope I haven't, but
yes.
apparently they made a movie on it. I'm trying not to, like, I'm not going to look it up because I'm afraid that I might have seen it, and I just want to read the book sort of fresh.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, stick with us. Stick with us. We're really excited.
Yes.
Check out the links below, the links in the notes, the show notes about this book that we're reading next, how you can stay connected with us. You can join our book club, and yeah, just keep reading with us. So
Keep
this has been
reading.
great.
Yeah.
Um, and I think I'm gonna try to sneak in a bonus episode because I do want to have a conversation about
Mm.
Black folks in our relationship to water as kind of a
Mm.
result of this. It might be a live stream, it might be something, but I would love to just do like a conversation about it. Maybe we'll just go YouTube live and do it and do like a
Yeah.
little bonus episode. So yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
until next time, don't forget to pick up your copy of Wild. And yeah, until next time.
All right. See y'all next time.
Bye.
Books and Boulders, an adventure podcast produced by First Outdoor Company for climbers, readers, and everyone in between. Subscribe now and join the BB Book Club.